All right. Thank you so much. Again, sorry. Obviously, I'm not Dr. Nicole Rhody. She is a much better speaker than I am, but I will attempt to fill in her big shoes. So, luckily, I am Broodstock manager here, so I do have a pretty good idea of what's going on as far as us advancing the management or the practices with our broodstock that we have here or have had in the past. Um, let's see. There we go. So with the research objectives, we've been just looking to improve rootstock management practices in general. Whether that's nutrition, optimizing photothermal conditioning, uh, any other number of things that we've been working on there. Also developing technologies that will increase, larval survival from hatch. Um, and in doing that, we're assessing the spawn performance metrics from these fish based on the different strategies we've used in feeding uh, and uh, and spawn induction with certain other species, not related with what's going on here, but we are kind of spread all the way across the board here. We're fortunate enough that we have seven broodstock systems here, which are 100% isolated from one another. So we have four 2,800, or yeah, sorry, 28 cubic meter broodstock systems on one side, and then three 48 cubic meter broodstock systems on the other side. And we're able to do all the photothermal manipulation in those rooms individually. So we're able to deal with multiple species, or, if we need to, we can out of phase spawn, two of the fish or two of our populations while we're maintaining the other ones at a normal conditioning. So obviously all of this is to increase the marine fingerling supply for aquaculture. I mean, here in Florida, of course, but just increasing the knowledge in general. Let's so I've touched on some of the stuff that we've worked with, but as far as the bottlenecks go, um, using photothermal manipulation to induce viable or volitional spawning is ideal, but it doesn't always occur. So we have done stuff with, for example, the common snook and with pompano with spawn inductions in the past. Other things with that bottleneck would also be the Almaco jacks, which I'll be talking about shortly, or cereal or Revoliana. But the issue with those fish is that we just couldn't even get them to stop spawning, no matter what uh, or how cold we got them, or the drastic changes in light that we had given them. We weren't able to get them to stop. So there's a bottleneck there with them. As far as egg quality, like I said, assessing different feeds or feeding strategies to increase the viability of eggs and larvae hatching from those eggs. Um, Bacterial management has been done more in the past, but we have looked at using probiotics to increase the or to I don't know, have a better environment for these fish to live in. As far as the fish health goes, that kind of goes with the bacterial management, but also a huge example of this is any of y'all that have worked with most jack species. Pompano are pretty hardy, but amberjack and the almacos, which we both had here, are very prone to neobenedinia. So we've had to work with bringing those fish in and removing that parasite as best we can before they go into the systems, and then how to treat that issue if it, because we obviously aren't killing 100%, even though we try. How we alleviate that issue once we do see it again. And then fish transport is a huge problem when you're dealing with broodstock, especially with larger fish. I mean, you are able to bring in smaller fish and mature them in captivity, but sometimes it's just not the case. Sometimes those fish need to be matured in the wild before you bring them in, or the whatever tank effect you're observing is going to inhibit those fish from maturing in captivity. Um, so, oops. specifically with the Almaco broodstock that we collected. Initially, when we started harvesting the fish, we were targeting the larger, known, mature fish, which meant we were traveling 90 miles offshore, and we were utilizing the head boats that are here in the Tampa area, um, which means it's a nice long drive. You get out there, and if y'all are wondering, no, I was not able to actually get a hook and line in my hand. I was too busy working up all the fish that we caught. Um, as you can see, the totes there on the back are actually totes on the bow of the boat as well. We tapped into their uh, the live feed well that they have there, the pump they have on that, and actually we're doing 100% or doing 100% flow through on those totes as the fish were being put in there. The one note is that I would suggest that we once the fish were harvested, if they're harvested at that 60-meter depth, anytime that we didn't purge the swim bladder, we did have issues with survival with this fish. So if you are bringing those guys up from depth, I would strongly suggest that you do purge the swim bladder. Um, and you see the transportation time, it's 15 hours. It's tough. But we did get a majority of the fish back here. About 80% made it back to the lab after all of that. Later on, got a little bit smarter. We started fishing a little bit closer in, but we were actually hitting the fish on the surface. But these fish were in the weed lines. Um, but it's shorter transport time, but they're smaller and maybe on the verge of being mature or not. But we observed that once we got the fish back into the systems, we didn't have any problems maturing them. And then, like I said, getting them to stop spawning was actually the bigger problem. These fish in the systems would spawn 4 to 7 times a week, depending on the population. So we collected 56 samples or fertilized egg samples from the 4 populations of fish that we had here. We were attempting to look at optimizing the feed of the given to the fish. As we all know, cut bait diets are costly, and seasonally, the profiles of those diets change. Whatever they're feeding on, whether they're mature at that specific time of year, there's just no consistency with the diets that those broodstock are getting. So by incorporating a pellet, we were hoping to have a cheaper, more consistent diet that we could give to the broodstock. The diet that we used was the Vitalis as well. The problem is that for Almaco Jack, we were not able to wean them completely onto the Vitalis diet. It was a palatability issue. The fish would grab it and then spit it out immediately. We had tried making a soft, moist pellet out of it, which we ground the pellets down through. We have a Hobart with an extruder, so we ground the pellets through that and mixed it in with ground up thread herring, hoping that not only the moisture and the palatability, but maybe also the thread herring itself, which was their favorite feed item that we gave them, would, I don't know, elicit a better feed response from the fish. We didn't have any luck with that either. We tried soaking the pellets in the drippings from fish, squid, shrimp, anything that we had here, which didn't help as well. Co-feeding with just the cut bait as well, which didn't help much. And I even went as far as to, well, they are visual feeders, so we sprayed the diet with it's an edible spray that they use for cakes, which is human approved. So we figured it was probably okay. It would be okay to be approved for the fish as well. But even with changing the visual aspect of the diet, it didn't help us with the ingestion. So we unfortunately haven't gotten this data published yet, but we're still looking at some of it and how to describe what we might have observed as just not eating the pellet versus the cut bait itself. But at this point, we definitely observed that the cut bait diet was the better diet for as far as when you look at the larval performance metrics. And now currently we have the red drum here, and we are providing eggs to the partners. Uh, Hopefully we'll be getting eggs to Harbor Branch soon. We have supplied eggs to Nicole Kirchhoff, who will be speaking next with Live Advantage Bait. So we were hoping to get more eggs out than we had, but the two hurricanes definitely put a crunch on us there. So the fish now are producing around 400 to 500,000 eggs every other day. So hopefully we'll be able to provide those eggs very soon. And that is it.